what do you make of the last 72 hours, or how many since we heard that Steve Baldwin was going to sell a team, then again pulled it back for the second time, and then also was looking for a buyer outside of the market? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely exhausting and infuriating. That's about the best way to summarize it. It is absolutely infuriating and exhausting that it keeps playing this game with many lives in the balance. And that's not exaggerating, because there are players, there are staff, there are supporters whose lives are around this team, and he's just deciding to play it like a freaking yo-yo.
Other than tired, what was your reaction this week?
Just more anger, honestly. I think I've transitioned more to anger than just being tired. And I think it's actually a common feeling in this section.
I have heard that.
Yeah, it's I don't know if I've heard us this angry before. So it's definitely moving more into anger.
The idea of just because your ego is so big that you won't sell, that you're going to ruin all of these people. Like, everyone here loves this team. They've been here for a long time. We are rooting for this team for a reason. And that you're just going to uproot this team for money or ego is kind of ridiculous to me. And it's part of these players' lives. It's part of our lives. And it's more than one dude's ego.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. RFK Refugees Podcast. Ted here, John here, breaking down more DC United, U.S. men's, women's. We're not really going to talk U.S. men's national team. No, we might glance on the topic a bit, but also talking Washington Spirit and all the fun that comes with that. John, how are you doing, my friend? How was your weekend?
It was good. I got to go see a 3-0 beatdown of a doormat of a team of racing Louisville, but that was fun. Weather was great. Got an opportunity. Went over there. I got there early and went and had a lobster roll and some oysters over at Salt Line. So really lived it up.
Nice.
Yep.
Lobster rolls are good. I had one. When I went to Key West. Quite good. Love me some lobster rolls.
I agree with you. This is an official stance. We don't agree on green sauce, but we can agree on some lobster rolls. That's for sure.
Never agree on green sauce. By the way, you did not post a picture of you having pupusas with green sauce.
Sometimes
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. No, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
I thought about it.
That. You're stepping up in the world. You are not. Anyway,
I got a torta. I almost put green sauce on it just to troll, but then they don't have it there, so I couldn't.
Yes, well, unfortunately, I could not make it to Audi Field. I went to a concert at the National, which was fun. Got to see the Struts play.
I love that venue.
Great performance. Yeah, great performance. Great venue, too. Still the same, probably looks exactly the same as it did. Everybody had to be vaccinated, which is a policy maybe certain members of my sports team should maybe implement. Even you, Richmond Kickers, which, by the way, we should talk about. How good was Brian Moran's goal, by the way? I just want to drop that right there.
Oh, it was so good.
Kickers
I saw it. I know. I know that it was good.
See, you only post when you want to be mad. You don't post any. I guess I took over the feed, and I'm like, everybody was so pissed about the national team. I'm like, let me post some positivity. Let me get away from the cesspool that is negativity about the U.S. men's national team. Kickers 2-1 victors over North Texas in front of what I assume is like 10 people who were bored just hanging around the old Texas Ranger Stadium. Oh, let's go watch a soccer game. That's what I assume anyway. There was hardly anyone there. Very odd venue they play in. I don't really understand the move that they made out there. But Kickers, I might get a home playoff game. I'm very excited about this. Very excited about this. But let's dive into the actual topics. as John just completely he decides he's just gonna wait.
I iced you.
He totally iced me. Totally iced me. I'm used to it. You do it all the time. It's okay.
Only without Richmond Kickers content. Exclusively. Let's talk about something that 98% of our listeners will be into. New DC United training ground. Finally, much delayed, much talked about, much anticipated. Finally out. If you are on Instagram and you follow any of the players, which I'm sure if you are listening to this show you do, we got to see a really pretty nice facility. The outside again still looks like where you take your middle school child to play lacrosse on the weekends, but the inside doesn't. The inside looks really nice. Did you have a chance to look at it?
There's a little. Oh yeah, I've seen some of the Instagram snaps. I saw someone post for DC. I would love to see if you want some good content. Like let's do a walkthrough. Let's like strap a camera to somebody and just like walk through and just show the amenities of it. Because I love the Vamos por Mas. Someone did bring up that it was a little bit of a shame because I don't know if you remember back in, I think 2012, 2013, of course, when, the team was broke, and they got the supporters to paint the old wall at the training ground, sort of the weight room, at RFK, and there was some comment about wouldn't it have been cool if they had sort of replicated that with this new training facility. Nothing wrong there. The ground looks really nice. Everything looks really nice. The amenities look really nice. This is a step up. Yes. I have spouted for years that one major reason that gets overlooked as to why DC can never sign big name players or get big name players to come here, other than the odd, like, just so happens it works out with Wayne Rooney, it is a lot to do with training facilities. That plays a huge role, having a central place. That's where players are going to spend 90% of their time. 90% of their time of their contract, they're going to be in a training facility. And if it is not at least modern, it doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to have, crazy amenities. If it's as long as it is good, it works for the players. It keeps players from being injured. That's another huge benefit. Mm-hmm. I won't say that like a lack of a good training facility has led to every reason that DC United's been injured, but it can play a role, let's say, in how players can recover and what they have access to. So good to see. It looks great. It looks like it's something the players are really excited about too. So that's always good to see.
Who's really excited about it is Paul, Julian, Russell, and Seitz. They all live like 5 minutes from the facility. Drew Skendrich and Andy live out there. All the Spirit players, most of them live out there. So I'm not sure when they make the move. I don't know if it's just DC United at the start to sort of get things settled. I don't know if they've finished all of the other locker rooms. The goal, of course, is to have, and the promise was to have this be the facility for DC United, for the Academy, for Loudon, for the Spirit. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that goes here in the next couple of weeks. And you talked about you'd like to see a walkthrough. Maybe your boy here has already DM'd the VP of comms for DC United to see if we can get us a podcast tour. If you're listening, Zach, this is me putting the public pressure on you. I think it would be good content for both of us. So I'll drive out to Loudon. We'll get Ted to do it on a weekend. We'll make it happen. We'll figure it out.
Figure it out. But really cool to see. Really cool to see the team finally get that. And grass fields out. The training fields look great. No longer the RFK auxiliary fields. No more of that. So a kind of a real step up for the team. And I think you'll see more players kind of move out to Loudon. I think that's going to be the
wait till they get to that commute. I think that Russell's, like we talked before, Russell's going to have a lot of new business for sure.
Yep. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about the other side of this, which is the Washington Spirit, the not so good side. So you went out to the game.
Yep.
You went out there. You got out there. Just give me some overall thoughts. What was the mood like in the stadium? How are things going? Like what was your overall impression sort of being out there? Because I feel very removed because I have not been to a game.
Right. So I did a little bit of field work. I think I'm gonna start doing this now on. I went to I stood in the supporters section at halftime, and probably will do that a little bit more. But I talked to some folks in the stands, and I talked to Angie, who is, I think, I'm not sure of her title, but she's like the major representative of the squadron. I don't know if they have like a president or whatever. I should probably look that up. But she said that they're angry for the first time. She's never seen the squadron angry like they are, and she likes it, and it's good. It was an interesting atmosphere, right? Like, I think anytime a 3-0 victory is fun because everybody likes goals and wants to win. But there's just there is definitely a vibe going on around the stadium. Like things are not good. Things have not been good, despite the fact it was great to see them actually on the field, not taking a 3-0 forfeit. Everyone loves to see that. But not in a normal situation, the sort of like the shadow owner isn't walking around in the supporters group section of a healthy team and like encouraging them to make public statements about the majority owner. Like, that's not usually a sign of a successful or healthy organization, but that's what we've got going on. Michelle Kang was I missed her. She was in the press box before the game. She was in the luxury boxes. She was on the field. She was in the supporters group section. She is putting the pressure on, and the reason for that is Yet again, Steve Baldwin has accepted an offer and then pulled it back and then said, never mind, I don't want to sell. I'm just kidding. This is the second time in the last 2 months. The first time you'll remember from The Athletic, Meg Linehan continues to crush the beat here and publish, expose after expose. Her and Molly are killing it right now. But Meg, the information came out that once again there was an agreement between Steve and Michelle Kang for $30 million. That was Steve's offer for the team. Keep in mind that the valuation that they sold all of these ownership spots into last year was $15 million. So it doubled in a year. In a year that the team also lost $4 million as an operating. So that is it's a crazy valuation. But the interesting thing there was Michelle King was like, sure, yep, I'll strike you a check, no problem. I'm not even gonna haggle on price. And then I guess it was one of those situations where you make an offer and then it gets accepted so fast you think, oh, I should have doubled that offer. I made a mistake. He pulled it away and then said, actually, what I would rather do is sell it to someone who maybe wants to move the team. So Michelle Kang is a smart woman. She clearly cares about this. She was willing to pay more than the franchise was worth, absorb its debts, not even negotiate, and to take over this team and to put it on the right path. But she knows now that the clock is ticking. If Steve Baldwin and Larry, not Larry, who's the other majority owner? The other guy that's 30%.
Bill Lynch.
If Steve and Bill they maintain majority voting rights, they're the ones who can approve the sale to whoever it goes to. NWSL has not shown a desire to wade into internal ownership politics so far. They have until this week to answer all of the charges that were in the original complaint with Richie. But I think Michelle knows that if this doesn't happen soon, if she can't keep the public pressure on all 360 degrees, this team could be Magic Jack too. It could be sent somewhere else, and no one can do anything about it. Really, it doesn't appear that the NWSL, particularly the commissionerless NWSL, is interested in stopping that.
If I'm the NWSL and I'm smart, and I don't want to force a sale, I'm not willing to take that step to force a sale. Here's my question: why don't you privately make a deal with Michelle Kang and say, look, if they sell, Steve Baldwin and Bill Lynch want to sell this team to somebody and they take it out of the city, that's fine. Pay us $15 million, whatever the cost is. Buy in as an expansion owner. Why wouldn't that be a potential solution? A potential solution that allows this team to stay basically pull what happened with. There's a very similar situation that happened with the Columbus Crew. The owner wanted to move him out. Different situation, but the owner wanted to move him out, and basically there was enough public pressure that basically the MLS was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. I forget the owner's name, and I'm glad I forgot his name. Go ahead, take your team to Austin. Here's this other group's going to step in. They're going to retain. It was kind of a weird move. It was like Austin's going to be an expansion team, but the MLS franchise is moving there. Everything's kind of staying there. The Crew is technically an expansion team, but they keep all the problems. I think that could be a viable solution to all of this, and to kind of basically get a one-up on Steve Baldwin once that sale goes through. And if said owners want to say, nope, we're taking the team out to Cincinnati, let's say. Mm-hmm. Then just say, okay, Michelle, that's fine. Here, we're going to let you buy a franchise. You're going to be the sole owner. You can take control. DC should step in and say, hey, why don't we go in? Let's cut a deal. Let's try to buy in. Yeah. Keep all the players would be good. I'm just saying maybe that doesn't happen. I don't know if. Yeah.
My tweet was DC United should say, we're going to buy the team from you. We're not going to sell it to Michelle. Don't worry. And then finalize the deal and be like, okay, we're selling it to Michelle. Suck it. Like that. Like that. That's another move. DC United clearly, also in that story, it was conveyed that DC United was offered the team for free and said, no, thank you. They didn't want to take on the debt, and they were very cash strapped and also administrative strapped as they were opening up the thing that just opened in Loudoun today.
And the interesting thing, and this is like I thought about. I read that quote and I kind of thought about this. You remember beginning of the year, we were all so upset. We were all very upset at DC United over what had happened with Segra Field and it not being ready and all this other stuff. And basically Steve Baldwin wanting to move the team back to Audi Field and everything like that, and basically him sort of painting it as DC was not being cooperative. We're gonna go ahead. We're just gonna play the game in Houston. Apparently, so I made that tweet about I don't know if we're still necessarily forgive DC for that, but I think we're viewing that all in a very, very different light based on recent events. And Paulo Maurer actually quoted the tweet and said, based on everything I've said, I've read, this was all on Steve. Basically, Steve trying to strong arm the team into basically having them go back to Loudon, complaining that the stadium wasn't done. According to him, he said that league really wasn't all that too upset about Segra Field. I don't know if how that was painted, but the fact that he basically tried to use it as a way to get his team into Audi Field, and then basically said, well, I'm just going to play hardball and just we're just going to go play a home game in Houston. And basically, the DC United does not like Steve Baldwin. They do not want to work with him. And that should be a massive red flag for the league to continue to let this guy be a partisan owner. Like you have your one local MLS team that just doesn't want anything to do with him. So I don't know. That was interesting. That was an interesting tweet. I think that Pablo Maurer dropped. I'll have to go pull. I want to make sure I get it right, so I'm gonna go pull it up real quick.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure you said that part about how basically it wasn't as big of a deal to the league. About the stadium, because I know that was a huge thing about it not being ready.
I know that Lisa Baird
find that tweet.
did go to Segra Field to inspect the facilities before the announcement came about the team moving the game. So unclear. I'm sure. I mean, obviously Pablo's got better sources on that than I do probably. Just a reminder to you folks who are watching the live stream. If you'd like to support the stream, you can always go to the subscribe button and use your Amazon Prime subscription. Should you have Amazon Prime? It's a box at the bottom. Scroll to the bottom, say use Prime sub, and then we get a couple dollars, and it costs you nothing. So that's my appeal this morning, or this at the beginning of the show. The other thing about the game that happened, or the other thing about this weekend, is they actually played a game, and I feel like we should probably talk about that.
Yeah,
so,
you go right into that.
I will. I think I have in my notes here is a 3-0 win over Louisville that feels almost extraneous to the existential threat of the team moving. And that is sort of the vibe that was going on. I had an opportunity to, and we'll have the audio here, some of it dropped in for the show that you're listening to on your podcast. But that was the vibe, I think. The vibe was sort of like very, very concerned. Everyone read it. Everyone knows. Fans find out this stuff at the same time the players do, whenever the Athletic prints it. And that really sucks. The spirit. I'm trying to think if they did this before our last episode. I think they might have done it after our previous episode. They wrote a letter, an open letter to Steve Baldwin. Timeline's probably confused here, but they wrote a letter to Steve Baldwin saying, "We have no confidence in you. Sell the team to Michelle. Please get out of here. You suck." And then Steve said, "I hear you. I understand you. I'm listening. And what I'm going to do is step away as CEO. Thank you." And then, and then, unfortunately, that was not what the players asked for. They wanted him to sell his shares to Michelle. So the players once again spoke out again, said, "You're not listening to us. You're not acting on behalf of the players. This is not what we asked for, and you knew that." So he is certainly he's really pulling out all the jerk stops with this. Like it's really. He is playing all of his cards, and now the last card is I can sell the team whoever I want to. Watch me do it.
And let me. I want to read Pablo's quoted tweet because I want to make sure I get it right. And I don't want to draw any. Maybe I was drawing things from what he was saying. He says, I feel comfortable in saying that DC United were making fairly reasonable demands back then, and that the Spirit grossly overplayed their hand. Balso also outright lied about the league's role in all of that. I've seen what I need to see to confidently say that. So I think he's implying that the league was basically okay, Segra's, as long as some things get done, we'll allow this one game. And Baldwin was trying to play it off like the league's doesn't like this, DC. We need to move to Audi Field. And they're just like, no, we'll make some reasonable demands. So just want to make sure I get that quote right. I don't want to misquote Pablo.
So this is, I'll read the response. The response here. So the original letter was released on, I think Monday, and this was on Tuesday of last week. Steve, today you stepped down as CEO and managing partner. We're disappointed and frustrated that we received no direct response from you to our letter, or even an acknowledgement that you received it. We have shown incredible restraint by not commenting publicly on all the infractions committed by the club and abuse we have experienced. We are open and honest with you after holding our voices for a long time. In your statement, you declared your commitment to returning the focus to the players. Returning to our phones post-training with yet another news story about our club is a distraction to our game preparation, our season, and our careers. We realize some of your efforts may have been sincere, but that time is past. Right now, as we look across the soccer landscape packed with painful stories of sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and team mismanagement, we, along with our peers, are suffering. We want to stand in solidarity with them rather than being dragged into what appears to us to be an ego-driven battle. We would like for the focus to actually return to the players. When we asked for you to step back from management, we clearly meant that you should not retain any management control. We are sure you understood that. You still have a firm grip as majority owner on the decisions that need to be made at the club, even if they are made behind a veil. In your final act as managing partner, you pass the baton to someone you hired who has virtually no experience in the role you left to him. That is Ben Olsen, should the subtext not be clear. We have no confidence in that management structure, especially on the soccer operations side, and we don't have reason to believe that you won't be involved. This is not a fresh start. Let us be clear. The person we trust is Michelle. She continuously puts players' needs and interests first. She listens. She believes that this can be a profitable business, and you have always said you intended to hand the team over to female ownership. That moment is now. Please sell to Michelle at a reasonable price and uphold your stated intention in 2019 of donating any profit you see to the Maryland Soccer Foundation, the players of the Washington Spirit. So that sort of outspoken solidarity of players against their ownership in public doesn't have a lot of precedent. That's very, very, very uncommon. To have done it twice now in the past week is even more unprecedented.
The unified nature of it amongst the players too is also. I mean, you've had plenty of players that have spoken out against ownership over. I mean, plenty of players have done that. The unified nature at which all the players posted this. This was a collective effort to say, you need to get out of here right now.
Yep.
We have somebody we trust and respect. Please sell it to her.
And the DC United players have shared a similar statement of support, which is good. Finally, it was a little bit late, but I'm glad they did it. Yeah, I mean, the challenge here is the league itself is weak. The ability of administratively of the league to project its power onto the franchises is extraordinary. Never been weaker. This is the weakest it's ever been. The only thing that's going in the Spirit's benefit is that they were the first sort of dam to break on everything breaking loose in NWSL. So if NWSL as a whole, including the other owners, really want to clean house and fix the problem, this is where they could. If what's happening is actually an owner who has been proven to have hired a coach who has abused his players so much to the point that he is banned from coaching any NWSL players, is able to hold his team hostage, not sell to the other female owner who wants the team and will pay for it, but instead sell it to an external party to move it. If they don't stop that, then I don't really. We talked about before about what the future of the league looks like. I'm not sure what the future of the league looks like in a situation where that can happen. From a fan standpoint, there's already sort of unified fan support of getting rid of Steve Baldwin across the league and all the supporters groups. I mean, taking this teams move, right? And the NWSL, that happens. Boston Breakers have done it. The Utah Royals have done it. Stuff happens for different reasons. This happening for this reason, however, would, I feel like, maybe be like a line that you can't cross. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe we're biased because of the fact that we support the team. But I can't imagine. I just don't know. Anyway,
I don't know either. I don't know. I thought this was nearing an end point, and we're still here.
We thought that. We did think that.
I was fully expecting next week to come on and be like, there's now there, and really the part that gets me, of course, is the idea that the team might leave, and that really that really puts a damper on trying to be happy about a 3-0 victory.
Yep.
I'm watching Trinity Rodman's amazing pass, two great plays she makes to create two goals for Ashley Hatch, and it's really hard to get excited about that with the idea that you are facing the idea that next season you might not even have a team to support.
Right.
And that adds anxiety as a fan. Why am I getting myself so hyped about this when it might not even be here next year? I wasn't, remember I posted that meme or whatever, the wrestling meme about, me enjoying the spirit and then the upcoming expansion drafts. Mm-hmm. I wasn't expecting it to actually be a owner that is deciding to act like a big baby, basically. So,
yeah, that is basically what's happening. Although that is the case, quickly, Ashley Hatch, as mentioned, scored 2 goals. She is now once again tied for the Golden Boot. This is a player who has missed some games for injury, for concussion. The team has missed 2 games due to forfeit, and she's still tied for first with Bethany Balser and Rachel Daly with 9 goals and 2 assists for Rodman.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Quick question. Why is she never talked about, I guess, from like being a national team prospect?
I think
at
this
point, yeah.
The depth at forward hurts her. She was told you have to score more goals in NWSL to be considered. Golden Boot seems to be a January camp call up. What else can she do at that point? If that doesn't get her in,
I understand the talent. Obviously, Alex Morgan's still there. She's still, I think, has at least one more cycle left in her. Kristen Press, obviously, I think this is kind of her moment. She's an incredibly talented player, not doubting her talent at all. But as a player, maybe you bring on as a 60th, 70th minute sub, some person that can maybe be that sort of out and out sort of target type forward.
Right, her height and physicality make her a little bit different. I mean, that you haven't had that kind of player since Abby Wambach retired, as far as a vertical threat in the box. She does other things other than that, obviously, and has scored most of her goals in different ways. But anyway, she had an opportunity to put some more on the board and was able to do that. You mentioned Trinity Rodman's assist, and it was absolutely ridiculous. Steals the ball around midfield, takes about 5 or 6 steps inside, crosses the ball all the way past a diving defender, like inch perfect, right over her head, and onto a running Ashley Hatch. And then the goal that sealed it was sort of a picking the pocket of the goalkeeper and playing around to Ashley Hatch to tap it in on a game that was already over, but she was continuing. Trinity was pushing through cramps, and as always, she gets knocked around all the time. She's just very kickable because she tries stuff and is always on the ball. But she looked fantastic. Andy Sullivan converts again from the penalty spot after maybe the weakest penalty I've seen in person in quite a while. Ashley Sanchez gets breathed upon on her ankle and falls over, and Andy Sullivan converts.
She gets clipped, I think, kind of on the feet, but it's very slight. You're right.
Sanchez was up again and playing. So that is always to me the sign of like if they're not asking for it, you shouldn't give it. The chances the Spirit outpassed Louisville 367 to 242, had 5 big chances. Louisville had none. Louisville did a lot of they won a lot of second balls and a lot of headers and duels and stuff. It just didn't matter. Like they were not offensive threats whatsoever in the entire game. So a comprehensive victory. It's going to get harder now, folks, unfortunately. You've got a game Wednesday and you got a game Saturday against OL Reign and North Carolina Courage, the makeup game. So this is big. They're right there on the playoff hunt. It is too complicated right now to get into the different permutations of what the playoffs look like, because it's basically the Thorns who have qualified and then 2 through 6 or 7 that all have a chance to make the playoffs. So as we get closer, we'll get into it. If the team can get points out of both these games, preferably. Maybe OL Reign, by the way, are almost unstoppable since they fired their coach. They are a machine. In fact, they may be harder to beat than North Carolina, which tells you something about what's going on right there. But if this team can somehow eke 4 points out of this, then I think then you're good, because they've got one more home game after that. So
yeah, and considering everything, I mean, making the playoffs would be a tremendous accomplishment for the team.
Yeah, with 2-3-0 to forfeits. Yeah, that would be that would be
and everything else just surrounding it outside of that, I think would be a tremendous accomplishment for the players. So we'll see what happens with the Spirit as they head down the season, and hopefully things outside of the games also improve. Let's cross our fingers that we get some good news.
Yeah. Speaking of, well, this is more of a mixed bag. DC United didn't play this week, obviously, because of international duty, but we've got some. We've been asked for this before, sort of like a rundown on how have our players done on international duty. Well, guess what? We're gonna do it for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And here's that. Here's some good news to start. Our designated player and record-setting transfer fee player, Edson Flores, injured to the point of needing an MRI and being ruled out for the next 2 Peru games, one of which I think happened today. After 65 minutes on a 2-0 win against Chile. Status undetermined for DC United. So this is why international football is bad, folks. Because it can affect us in any way at all, and I don't like that.
And if this, I really hope this is like a day-to-day week thing. It's negative.
Hamstring would be bad
anytime
because of how long it took him last time.
Yeah, and just I feel really. I mean, from a I guess a DC perspective, you can look at it from a path. Well, I think if DC loses in Flores, do I think they'll suffer? We'll see what happens. You've got Jordi Reyna did not travel. You don't have him on this list, but did not travel for Peru because apparently he picked up a knock, so he did not travel. Hopefully that is less minor because DC, once you start chipping away at some of those attackers,
he did travel. By the way, he posted on Instagram from Peru. So
okay, never mind. He did travel, but I don't think he's playing.
He did not play, and then I saw him at the training facility today with a mask on. So maybe that's everybody else that didn't have a mask on, he did. So I'm guessing that's what the protocol for returning players probably. Another player that actually did play and didn't get hurt, Junior Moreno, played 16 minutes in a 3-1 loss for Venezuela against Brazil, and then 11 minutes in a 2-1 win over Ecuador. Still got a yellow card in that second game in his 11 minutes, which I appreciate. He's coming off a goal for DC United, and now is just dominating out there. All right, now let's get to the one that people have opinions about. Paul Arriola. It was a tale. Yep. It was a tale of two cities. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Let's start off. So first of all, he played against Jamaica. Was probably one of the better players out there on the field. Got a lot of praise. There is a lot of undue hate that gets leveled on Paul Arriola. I'm not going to say everybody wants the new hot kid from Europe to apparently come in.
Paul's pretty good looking.
But you know what I mean.
Yes,
the new whatever hot prospect apparently is. I think Conrad. It was this time. I don't even know where he plays. Most people say, "Oh, you think Paul Arriola? You think Paul Arriola is better than this guy?" I'm like, well, he might be, but or you think? I mean, this other guy might be better than Paul Arriola, but right now I would take Paul Arriola because he has experience in these games. He is much needed, like what he brings, and you need to look beyond that. Let me just say, the U.S. men's national team fan base is a cesspool of negativity. I people that run those accounts like full time must be just some of the most miserable people out there.
They're like those guys who work at Facebook that have to get rid of like videos of people getting killed all day. Like that's their that's their trauma is just like dealing with people yelling about Paul Arriola all day long.
Oh yeah, and he is a scapegoat for everything. Anytime the team does bad, the hate towards him is hilarious. It's almost like it gets me into like I'm literally watching the national team because Paul's out there and I like Paul.
Yep.
And I enjoy him as a player. So and he was excellent in that Jamaica game. He brought an energy. He really disrupted a lot of what Jamaica was trying to do and led a large role. The U.S. wasn't perfect in that first 45, but the second 45, Pepe, who had an invisible first half, came in and notched 2 goals, and suddenly he looks like he is the striker for this national team. The Panama game was not good. No one played. I mean, I'm not going to single out any performance because everybody was bad.
Yes.
That was a bad performance.
When your coach says no one deserved to be out there, it was a bad game.
Yeah.
No one's going to have gone
collectively. Maybe Matt Turner is the only one because he made some nice saves to at least keep that 0-0 because it could have been a lot worse. For the U.S. men's national team. 1-0 loss. They're still second in qualifying, but apparently Greg Berhalter should be fired. The whole team should be blown up. They shouldn't even try. That's apparently what I'm getting, even though the team for right now is still qualified. Now I know they've got tougher road games coming up, but
be like me and don't care, and then nothing hurts you. That's the best way to get through life, I tell you.
It is honestly the best way right now to watch the national team.
Whatever,
because
who cares? Don't get hurt, United players.
My biggest problem is the soccer algorithm, like the Twitter algorithm is like recommending soccer. So I see all the tweets, even though I don't follow anyone. I don't follow any of these people. I see all the tweets about micromanaging the team. And I will say, the only people I really listen talk national team is Sham State School and Paul Tenario, because I think they're the most level-headed of the two. And I forget which one who made the point, but he said, look, we can yell about Greg all we want. The players were bad. Like, the players just were not good. Like, we can maybe argue, maybe make
All
some criticisms. Yeah, all of them. What is Greg supposed to do? You say, well, he should have brought this guy and this guy. Okay, well, we know these players can play better. We know Giassi Zardes can play better. We know Paul can play better. We know Timothy Weah can play better. We know even the European guys that were out there did not play well. And no one played well in that game.
And here's here's the argument against this is that when the roster is announced, everyone wasn't like, oh, we're going to lose these games because these players are picked that were wrong. No. So, like, all he could do is pick the players. Everyone said, okay, yeah, there's some players I would have had, but we'll win these games. The fact that they put a stinker against Panama and lost with the players that everyone said were fine. Now, granted, I think I think they rotated kind of a lot here because they thought that maybe they could do a little bit more with what they had. They didn't. But all those players should have been able to get that result. And a shorthanded Panama team who had lost previously, I believe. They should have won because of the players, not because of the coach. So either way,
the most hilarious moment. The most hilarious moment of the game was the end, where there was like 7 minutes of extra time, and I'm pretty sure pitch invaders, multiple balls, the multi-ball version of CONCACAF was well and true. And I'm pretty sure wasted about 4. Not the U.S. I think would have tied that game. They were just so bad. They weren't like pushing towards an equalizer and then that the referee took it away from him. But it was kind of funny. I'm pretty sure at least 4 minutes of that 7 minutes were literally wasted on pitch invaders and multiple balls being thrown on the field. And then at 7 minutes, the referee called time. He was like, you know what? I'm out. I'm done.
I'm not even giving balls in the field. We just can't have any more of this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that might have been the nature of just like that. That's it. There's no way we're going to finish this game.
I also don't think it would have mattered.
That's CONCACAF for you.
I don't think the U.S. would have scored.
Nope.
I was talking.
They could have given the U.S. another 30 minutes, and they still would not have done much of anything.
That's what I said to my friend. She's like, 7 minutes. They might score. I was like, no, they will not. They really won't. Another player who played for his national team, Andy Nahar, played twice. Played the full 90 against Costa Rica for the draw, getting an 8.0 on FootMob, which is great, and then getting a 6 in his 15-minute appearance against Mexico. He appears to have not been injured, which is the most important information that one can to deem about that.
I would be totally happy if he doesn't play. Just don't play him.
Yeah,
Nahar, man. I mean, I know you want to play for your country. Maybe just I got some tightness in my hamstring. I think I need to go home.
Yeah,
we need you, buddy. Please
just get him qualified and then wait until the World Cup. That's what I prefer. Yeah. And then last but not least, I have to make sure to the stands that have made themselves very, very noticeable. Eric Sorga, a goal machine in Europe, scored He scored a goal. I think it was the winning goal, the first goal for Estonia, 2-0 win over Belarus. And has scored 3 goals in 6 games for VVV Venlo. Of course, VVV Venlo, that's fun to say. VVV Venlo, I believe is how you say it, is in the 2nd division in the Netherlands, a already goal-friendly country to score in. I think Josie scored like 75 goals there when he played for AZ Alkmaar. All I want, man, is I want him to play well enough to get a transfer in January. That's all I want. And if he wants to do that, God bless him. I think that's great. That opens up an international spot, and it'll be a good piece of business because I think we paid $1 million for him, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Venlo might do that for if he's the leading scorer. I don't think $1.5 million is too crazy. But yeah. So it's fun to have a team that has, multiple internationals in play. It's a good sign. I feel like we're. Normally we'd have more. We'd have Joseph Mora usually. I'm trying to think who else that was hurt would have potentially have been on the.
Jordi
Reyna would have been one.
Would have been on there.
I think Ola deserves a Norway recall. That's what we need to get that going. And on the chat, Ola for Norway hashtag make that happen.
There's this guy called Erling Haaland. Maybe you've heard of him.
He needs a second striker.
There you go.
You got to have somebody else on the field.
Yeah, but Eric Sorga probably on his way out, so he will be dropped from the list. But hey, if DC makes money off him,
Red Bull killer.
Red Bull killer. Loudoun United got a win, 3-2 over Miami FC in a crazy, crazy, crazy game. Are you there, John?
I'm sorry. Yes, I am there. Loudoun United 3-2 win over Miami FC. That's crazy because Miami had 48 points and was about to clinch their playoff spot, but didn't because Loudoun beat them 3-2, and they were down to 10 men for 75 minutes of that.
Jacob Green with a goal, Ted Cudipietro with a penalty kick, and Giovanni Bolivar with a goal. I'm wondering, so Ted Cudipietro is out there taking penalties for this team. What, if anything, does that mean? Does that mean he is? I mean, I think we're all kind of looking at him. He was one of the guys signed who we thought might, maybe step into the DC United team. It was looking a little bit like maybe not. Now he's a friend of the show. We have interviewed him in the past. I'm curious, where do you see him? Do you think he maybe makes a jump here? Maybe as an opportunity. Maybe he gets some appearances. So far, he's started to look pretty good. To kind of close out the season.
Ryan Martin was hinting at you might see some of these players on DC United here in the future, and with Ted scoring 7 for Loudoun, I think it's entirely possible that this is it. That he's the player that you're looking at. So that would be great. I think that would be a big plus for him. He's played. Mm-hmm. The thing for him was to stay healthy and play a full season, and he's done that. So I think that there's a very strong possibility that they sign him to a contract.
Yep, and Jacob Green, we should highlight, first goal for the team as well. Another guy who I believe DC has signed. Yeah, DC has signed him to. I think Ted Cudipietro is just signed for Loudoun, and Jacob Green is actually signed for DC United. So great to see him get an appearance and get a goal. So look, I think right now, I think this team is kind of riding out until the MLS Reserve League starts up, which they'll probably join that next season. That might impact who they play, who they sign. They are a development team, pure and simple. So yeah, tough. But good to see a win. Good to see Ryan Martin get the 3 points to at least gives this team some solace. At least that was a fun game. If we're not, we said this with DC. If you're not going to be good, at least be entertaining. The Loudoun United hasn't been entertaining this year. They've been mostly bad. So, it's good to see them be entertaining. All right, we got DC United versus Nashville coming up, and I guess we got a little bit of preview. Obviously, we've played them. They are a very defensive team. Mukhtar's out there. They are cruising right now to second place. They basically have locked up second place. So we got a home game. Two big home games coming for this team. John, I want to get your thoughts here. Do you think 6 points is a must out of these two games against Nashville and New England? I
think because it's so dense right now from a standings perspective, I think it such depends on the other games that are going on. I don't think either of these are gimmies. Obviously, they're both teams that I believe above them in the standings or very near them. So, no, I don't think it's a gimme. I think a win out of those two would be good. I think 4 points is ideal, or 6 points is obviously ideal, but 4 would be great. What do you think?
I want to say I think 4 points. I think 3 to 4 is enough for me to say this team will make the playoffs. We're going to be fine. We win one of these two games, we're going to make the playoffs. I think that is. I personally believe that because the schedule gets a little bit easier on the back end. This is kind of the last really tough grind, I guess, other than the New York City game. But I mean, I do look at Nashville and 0-0 draw with Chicago, 2-2 draw with Orlando, a 0-0 draw with New York. I mean, they're maybe they're hitting a little bit of a snag, I think, and they are in that hunt. They're in danger of losing that second place spot. So I think it's an opportunity for the team maybe to pounce on them at home. I'll be very curious to see what DC looks like as far as health wise. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, if we're without Jordi Reyna, we're without Edison Flores. Then someone else is going to have to step up and provide goals. Who plays that left wing spot if depending on injury. So I'll be very curious. I think the fact that Jordi Reyna is walking around gives me at least some hope that it's not bad, that he at least is somewhat healthy. He's showing up to training. I think that gives me hope that he'll be good to go for the game against Nashville. I think that would be pretty bad if he was not able to be out there. And I guess you you look at, but I think if this team manages to get 6 points, 4 to 6 points out of this game, I think a home playoff game suddenly becomes a very real possibility with the remaining schedule. So I think that's certainly something they can look to do. So yeah, I think it's going to be fun to watch. I'm very excited to get back to some DC United coverage. I missed it. I missed the sort of MLS coverage. Right now, DC United's in 5th, so they're definitely still well within the playoff race. But it's going to be a sprint to the finish. I will not be surprised if this all comes down where it's still 2 to 3 point gap, and we have a crazy wild finish on decision day. I think this is going to be the most fun decision day we've had in a long while. I think you could conceivably have a team be 4th or 5th in the standings and then completely fall apart in the last game and be bounced out of the playoffs. That is entirely a possibility with how tight things are right now. So I think that's going to be a fun thing to watch on decision day. And maybe DC gets one of those nationally. Well, we're playing Toronto, so probably not. There'll probably be some other match in there. If we were playing a more exciting team, maybe. But it'll be fun. It'll certainly be fun to watch. All right, folks, I think that's going to do it. Y'all are incredible. Subscribe on our channel, twitch.tv/RFK Refugees. Hit that subscribe button. If you got Amazon Prime, hit that subscribe button. I think I need to do that. I need to follow up. I don't think I've been good about keeping that up, so I'll hit that. Patreon.com/RFK Refugees, Twitter.com. We'll see you guys on Monday. Goodbye. Vamos.